what we're hearing is the voices of the pink ladies responding to a protest across the road just next to Downing Street by Stand Up to Racism. I'm in a sea of pink. Lots of women from Epping in Essex, but also from across the country. Susan Hall, we're here in a quite amazing Pink Ladies protest.
We are.
As a Tory leader on the London Assembly, got an England flag knocking my head. Why do you think this is important?
Because women are concerned about the safety of other women and of their families. And I don't think the government is taking this seriously enough. There are so many undocumented men in the hotels, in the communities where these people live. They are concerned about their children and their grandchildren. These women are not serial demonstrators. Some of them, like me, have hardly ever been on a demonstration ever. But we must look after our own family. And that's what they're all about. You can see none of them are masked up. None of them, are violent. They just worry about their family, and that is why they're here.
We actually had Keir Starmer at the Labour conference yesterday, spraying the racism word around. We've got anti-racist protesters across the road. Is it too easy to describe these women as racist?
Of course it is. That's what it's all about. All through the mayoral contest, that's all Sadiq Khan ever did. He just kept trying to paint me as far right and racist, because that's what the left do. But you know what? They've done it so much now that nobody is taking any notice. Thank God, because to be called a racist is quite abhorrent. But because they're using it all the time now, it just doesn't have the same effect, and they don't know what to do about that.
And in fact, the Ethiopian man who was living in the Bell Hotel in Epping, 8 days after he came ashore across the channel, he did sexually assault an adult woman and a 14-year-old girl. So it was wrong to call them bigots.
Well, absolutely right. It's not the worst case scenario. It's actually happened. And this is what is upsetting, quite rightfully, all these mothers and people that are worried for their children. As you can see, we're all normal people. We are all concerned about hordes of young men from where we don't know, who perhaps have been brought up in cultures that do not respect women. And that is why we're all so concerned.
As a senior person in the Conservative Party, what would you want the Tories to do if they were in government about this situation?
Well, I accept unreservedly we should not have let so many people in. We need to stop this as quickly as we can. Saying you'll smash the gangs is fine if you've got a plan. But Keir Starmer has had no plan. And that's obvious to everybody. But putting so many of these young men in a place, I would like there to be detention centres. So the minute they come off the boat, they're putting in a detention centre where they are watched, where they're not allowed out. I mean, we'd have to leave the ECHR, fine, put them in a place where they cannot come out and deport them, because they have illegally broken into our country. So therefore, they should not be allowed to stay under any circumstances, any of them.
Annie, where are you from?
Hampstead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm very lucky. I'm quite immune. I mean, I'm sheltered from mainly a lot of the problems, but I live in London, and I've lived in London for nearly 50 years, and it's become a hostile, horrible environment, really unpleasant. And there's reasons for the unpleasantness, and we have to clean it up, basically.
And what would you say the reasons for that unpleasantness are?
Reasons for the unpleasantness is that we're not allowed to live in our own country anymore. The country has become a place where it's like a puzzle that's been thrown up in the air, and none of the pieces fit anymore. And I just want the pieces to fit again the way they used to. And people need to fit in. That's all. Just fit in.
Do you agree with the Pink Ladies that
Yes.
women and girls are...
Absolutely terrified. I don't have a girl child. I have a male child. But if I had a girl child, she would be tethered to me. This environment is not correct for a young girl. No, it's unpleasant. It's not right. It's not English.
What would you do about the migrant hotels?
Empty them. put them in a detention center and deport them.
Also here today is Jess Gill, who brilliantly helped to co-found the Women's Safety Initiative. Jess, what are you doing at the Pink Ladies protest?
We're here to stand for our safety. Mass immigration is the biggest issue facing women today. You can see that most notably with the grooming gangs, with the Southport stabbing, with the Manchester Arena bombing, and also with the illegal migrants who are impacting the safety of schoolgirls, which is what the Pink Ladies was brought to be about. I've spoken to so many women over the past few months, and including at this protest, who understand that this is the biggest issue. They've had their own personal experiences. I've had my own personal experiences of it. Well, I've been followed on the street, I've been catcalled, I've been harassed. And the reality is, the elephant in the room is that it is immigration, and that's just the reality of it. And the other side, they don't have any response, because honestly, it's just so hard to argue against. Like, I think this is the biggest issue of our time. This is the biggest issue for women, and these fake feminists, they want to claim they're for women's rights. They're not. Otherwise, they'd be on our side.
Do you think it's the cultures that some of these guys are coming from that's a big problem?
Yeah, absolutely. The culture is a massive issue. I mean, what do you expect when you import men from these cultures which hate women, which have a strong prevalence of female genital mutilation, forced marriages, and just general misogyny where women have no rights? They have very limited safety. Femicide is through the roof. Like, what do you expect when they come over here and they're housed in these hotels and it's just men as well? Like, there's no other way to go about it. This is the obvious reason why this is happening. And I think it's such a shame that the establishment has ignored this and didn't see this was going to happen for so long. Just because they arrive in this country doesn't mean they'll just automatically adopt our values.
You've written very well about being out and about in London with a picnic with girlfriends, and then men just approaching you in a way that wouldn't have happened before.
Yeah, so that's the reason why I started the Women's Safety Initiative. Every single time I would go outside in London, something weird would happen. Like, it wouldn't be the most extreme thing most of the time, but there'd be, men staring at me, men catcalling me, men following me. Even when we went to a picnic in Hampstead Heath, which is a relatively nice area of London, we had two men catcallers. We had a man literally sit right next to us where our picnic blanket was. There was so much space around, but he sat deliberately next to us, stared at us for a whole 15 minutes, and then tried to make small talk, and even kept at it while we obviously weren't interested in a conversation. And then I was walking back to the bus stop, and this man, he was beeping at me non-stop. It was so embarrassing. And again, I feel like this shouldn't be normalised, but when I've spoken out against it, and I've spoken to my friends, they all had similar experiences.
What would you like to see done about the migrant hotels?
I think they should all be closed, but I also think the illegal migrants should go back. And I also think anyone in this country who does not respect women, who come from these cultures which do not respect women, shouldn't be here, quite frankly, because it's a threat to women's safety.
So it's not about racism, this protest?
Nothing about racism. I've worked for a charity for 43 years, over 3 boroughs. I wouldn't have lasted that long. I've got an OBE from the Queen. She handed it to me. She would never have given me that if she would have thought I was racist. No, I'm not at all racist. I love everybody.
No.
Yeah, but even these guys, they're fighting for what they believe in, okay? I don't hate them for what they believe in. But a lot of these, if you asked them to say, OK, take a couple of them guys home with you tonight, feed them, bath them, and keep them there, every single one of them would say, no, thank you.
Yeah.
You know.
So would you like them deported, the guys who are in the migrant hotel?
What I want to find out is how do you process somebody that doesn't have a history? They say, oh, we're going to process them, yeah? And then once they're processed, we decide whether they're legal and can stay. How do you process somebody, okay, that doesn't have a past, that can tell you they come from any country, that tells you they're a 15 with a full growth? I want to know how the government is going to process these people. I really do. And the history that they've got, okay? It's not just about the criminal that they've got, if they've got any past. they may have lots of illnesses, and our NHS won't be able to cope with it.
Yeah.
The infrastructure cannot cope with anymore. And it's my simple way of saying, if you have a boat with 300 supplies and you put 600 on it, it'll sink.
We're joined by Orla Minahan, brilliant spearheader of this campaign, the Epping Ladies. Orla, what are you doing here today with all these amazing women?
Well, at the moment, I'm trying to get a generator to work so that we can do our speeches. But the women are here today because there have been so many protests up and down the country all summer, outside hotels. Nobody's listening. We decided to bring it here to Whitehall, and today the pink protest is the majority of people here are women, simply because many of them have never ever demonstrated or protested before, and we felt that by giving them something that they could come to with other women in the daytime, they'd feel safer, they'd feel it was a safer environment. So that's what we've tried to create today.
You were all called bigots, the women protesting outside the Epping Bell Hotel, but in fact, just recently we've seen the Ethiopian man who did in fact sexually assault a girl, 14-year-old girl, and an adult woman. Did you feel vindicated?
We did feel vindicated. There was a lot of upset about the fact that his sentence was quite short, but my view is if they will then deport him after his sentence, then that will be worthwhile. To keep him any longer in a UK prison would be, I think, a bitter pill because of how much it would cost us, and that I just don't think that's on at all. I think that I believe that anybody who's a illegal immigrant who is arrested should be deported, not kept in our systems.
The judge in that case actually commented on this guy and his bad attitudes towards women, not knowing how to behave towards women. Isn't that a more general problem with the migrants coming here?
Absolutely. They come from, many of them from alien cultures. We fought very, very hard for hundreds of years for equal opportunities, and there is no way that women like us are going to tolerate that misogynistic culture coming into the UK. Absolutely not.
Where are we with the Bell Hotel now? How are you close to having some movement there?
I believe the 15th of October is the Supreme Court. We're back in court to get that shut down. It's over 3 days, I believe, and then we should know whether or not they're going to close it or keep it open. My view is if they close it, they need to move those men out of Epping, not into HMOs. But then I believe that that's the case across the country. Why these men should leave these hotels and be put into our community poses a bigger risk, and that does not help the situation at all. You know, put them in secure units or secure accommodation, process their asylum, and if they do not qualify, send them home. End of story.